Hello and welcome. Today we are looking at episode 17 part 1, and today we're going for a game that I played on the Mars app where I'm going for terraforming. So I'm going for the UNMI Corporation, obviously, because I want to be terraforming today. And in the same spirit, I'm actually choosing Great Aquifer over the 2 titanium production. And I knew when I played this is a little bit questionable, but there is a reasoning to this. So first of all, there's actually a lot of math here in the first generation, because generally what I want to do is I want to get 4 energy production so I can actually use this action Steelworks at the start of the next generation, at the start of generation 2. So that's my main focus, actually getting 4 energy production. And then I'm also keeping geothermal power just to get a little bit extra energy production. And I think this might have been a mistake. I think maybe I should have gone for the card that gives me Black Polar Dust, I think it's called, that gives me 3 hit production. But then I go down with 2 mega credit production, but I get 1 TR. So basically I go down with 1 mega credit production, so it feels a little bit bad to play. But the reason I go in this direction, even though I know it's kind of questionable, it is that look at this 2 water here. I do get like 6 worth of because I get 2 titanium, so that's 6, and also I don't have to pay the 5 mega credit penalty by getting the other prelude. So it is a difference of 11 mega credits, and I think that's what makes the difference for me to actually play this nuclear zone. And this nuclear zone does end up giving me +1 heat production. So it's not all bad. It is kind of in line with what I want to do, but that being said, I think generally speaking, I think in most games I would definitely take the 2 titanium production over the 2 water as a prelude. But right here, I think Giant Space Mirror and because of the 2 titanium I got, I can play this, and then I can also play my hero power, UNMI hero power, and then I can also play the nuclear zone. So putting all of this together, I think it's a fine play, because now I can also get it. It's a nice place to actually place this nuclear zone right next to water, and then I get 1 titanium which I can spend immediately. So I think when everything's said and done, I don't think it's completely awful. But mostly what I just wanted to do is I wanted to terraform a lot, because that's what we're doing today. We're terraforming. Look at my shirt, it says Terraformer. Yeah. And UNMI is a good corporation for this. And like we talked about, I think UNMI is a better corporation for 4 and 5 player games, because generally speaking, this is more the games where you want to be terraforming a lot, I think. So I'm picking up some random cards here. I'm picking up Beam from a Thorum Asteroid, and I'm picking up, I think, some other card. But I think I'm okay here. It's not the best engine. Like, if you look at me, I have no mega credit production, no steel production, no titanium production, but what I have is this combo of getting 4 energy production, and then now we hit the generation 2, so now I can definitely, every generation I can use my Steelworks, right? And then I can also use my UNMI Corporation. So it's just a very easy way to satisfy the requirement to actually play the action from my UNMI Corporation. So it's that's the strongest part of my build. It's not too bad at all. So right here, I mean, I have no earth tags, so Earth Office, Miranda Resort, all of it looks a little bit bad. I have the energy production I need, not that this energy card is good in this case anyway. And here is the Ganymede Colony, and it is tempting, but do I go for trees? Do I go for herbivores? The reason you generally don't want to play Ganymede Colony and Jovian Amplifiers when you're going straight in for terraforming is that 1, the game is gonna be short. At least if you're successful in terraforming a lot, the game is gonna be short. And it's kinda not in line with what you wanna do. You wanna close the game early and punish the greedy guy. And you know, picking up Jovian Amplifiers, that is just a little bit being the greedy guy, you know? But it's not completely awful in this case, because I already picked up a random Thorum from an asteroid, so it could work, but then we are already not in the straight up terraforming strategy, then we are kind of in the mid game strategy. But as you will see, I make other decisions this game that kinda, you could argue that this is more of a mid game strategy kind of build, but we'll get back to that. So yeah, Coppola City makes a lot of sense. I planned it in a way so I have enough energy production to both play this city and also have enough energy to use this action every generation. And this city here, it's basically just to get a little bit of mega credit production. And also, like, during the game, it's of course nice to have a city. But it's just the best engine building card I kind of got, so that's what I'm playing. And yeah, so the game is pretty straightforward. You'll notice, as opposed to these long greedy games where there are gonna be a lot of actions every generation, this is gonna be like pretty simple, pretty straightforward. There's not gonna be so many cards played every generation. And now of course I pick up another Jovian amplifier, making me a little bit question my decision. Should I have picked up the first amplifier as well? But this subterranean reservoir, I think this is a mistake. I'm not sure, but it feels like, oh, kelp farming could be cool. Kelp farming is definitely very good. I don't understand how this got through the grafting phase. What the hell could people get that's better than kelp farming? Because someone got kelp farming, looked at kelp farming before me. But kelp farming is the perfect card right now because there are already 6 waters being placed. And then here we got the physics complex, and this is one of the things I'm talking about. It's a little bit questionable. My idea is that I have a lot of energy, so I think, even though it doesn't look like it right now, I think the oxygen is gonna be close before the temperature. I think all of this is good except for subterranean, except for the water. I don't think that's worth it. But no, what I was saying is, I think the oxygen is gonna be close before the temperature because I have this action every generation, and also now I'm getting a bunch of plant production. So then I have a lot of like energy left over when we get to that point. So maybe I could spend like 2 generations getting like 4 points on physics complex. That's kind of why I'm considering this. But as you'll see, I think I regret it a little bit because if I don't spend the 6 energy to get physics complex, instead what I could do is just let it go to heat, and then I would have not so many problems actually closing the heat. Because that is gonna be the issue of this game. That is closing the heat. So it's a little bit questionable, but it's a more greedy approach, if that makes sense. So that's what I mean when I say that it's a little bit of a mid-game strategy, if you look at it that way. Kelp farming, perfect. And then I, of course, use my hero power, and that's, you know, that's pretty much it. I don't have a big engine here, so it's pretty much just like use my combo, play maybe 1 card per generation. That's pretty much it. So it's a very simple way to play Terraforming Mars. But I'm still aiming. If I can, I want to close it at 7. But I think after maybe I'm realizing it now, or maybe I'm realizing it next generation, that absolutely no one is actually going for heat production. Which is both a little bit uncommon, but it's also very unlucky for me, because I definitely want to be the one closing the game. But when I realize this, it's a little bit, alright, maybe I can't close it at 7, maybe I have to close it at 8. So I think right now I'm thinking I probably should close it at 8. And we have one greedy guy, like a guy playing Tharsis with pets, of course. This guy, I don't think he does it, but what he should do is let the game drag on a little bit so he can actually build a lot of cities and benefit from his big engine. He's gonna have a lot of mega credit production. But it's definitely, for me, and I don't know about the other two, that's a little bit up to them, but for me especially, I want to close the game as soon as possible. That's kind of what I'm aiming for here. Invention contest, once again, draw card is not the best if you're going all in for terraforming, but you need a little bit of draw card. So I don't hate a card like invention contest. Insects is much better for me, much more in line with what I want to do. And then we got a large convoy. I think it's a bit greedy, but you know, a large convoy is always great at the end of the game. If you get a card where the animals are worth 1 victory point per animal, so if I pick up fish or something, large convoy is great. But it is a little bit greedy, right? Because I don't really have that big of an engine. So can I afford to pick up a good late game card right now? Or do I favor the tempo? And I think I kind of favor the tempo in this case. So, but there's also an interesting card here, Methane from Titan. It's actually a big decision, because I have Beam from a Thorum Asteroid, and this card requires you to have a Jovian. And then this, it kind of gives me like terraforming. It gives me 2 heat production, gives me 2 plant production. So I kind of don't hate this. But at the same time, it is a little bit... it's not really what you want to do, right? You really don't want to spend so much on Jovians once you're going this all in on terraforming strategy, so it's a little bit counterintuitive, but I think it does make sense in this case. But I'm kind of regretting, there is another way I could have played this, getting the 2 titanium production to begin with, keeping the 2 Jovian amplifiers, and then playing these Jovian cards. And it might have been a better way to do it, but today I just wanted to terraform all the way, you know? And to be fair, I couldn't have known that I would end up seeing so many Jovians. So it's a little bit of a tough call, but there's definitely a way where I could have played this entire game just being a lot more greedy and picking up Jovians. But it is what it is. So I think the reason I didn't keep any more cards in this case is because I just, you see I only have one gold left. So that's definitely... Oh yeah, and this is... already I'm in trouble here. Because I forgot that my hero power actually cost 3 mega credits to play the UNMI 1 extra point. So I didn't calculate this, so this generation is gonna be a mess for me, because there's also this aspect of the bonus on the oxygen scale. So right here it's a little bit of a who can slow play the most, because I have enough plans to make a greenery, and also I'm looking at Ecoline, the green player. He also has enough. Oh, and here we go. That's a mistake. So right now I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna slow play. I have this cheap card, but this is where I forgot completely that my UNMI Corporation also costs 3 gold. So yeah, it's a little bit stressful, because I think, you know, all the small mistakes, it kinda, the chickens are coming home to roost here, because all of a sudden I really needed that 3 gold from for example the water card that I ended up not playing anyway. So you really have to be careful which card you actually pick up. So right now I'm seeing that the green has already passed the generation, so now I'm finally using my power, and now I'm realizing, oh no, my UNMI power also costs 3 gold. And the reason I didn't see it before is because this action is not actually visible, right? You have to make a point before this action becomes visible for you. So I'm sure some of you have made this mistake as well. So now I have a new problem. Do I want to sell 3 cards just so I can get that 1 TR? And it's a really close call, but I think I'm actually gonna do it. But what really hurts here is that most of these cards I actually picked up. Like, I actually bought these cards, so selling them for 1 mega credits, even after I already sold 1 card I picked up for 3 mega credits. Oh man, it hurts, but it's what it is. I think if I was like the greedy guy, I think I would never do this, but since tempo is very important for me, and you know, closing the game, getting as much TR as soon as possible is very important for me, I think it's kind of the correct call to sell 3 cards here. But it definitely doesn't feel good, and it was completely avoidable. All I had to do was to not. Well, first of all, I shouldn't have kept so many cards, but second of all, I should have just not used this card, Invention Contest, for 2 mega credits to get 1 card. That was 2 mega credits I definitely needed right now, so that is a big mistake. I think that's the biggest blunder I make this game. So now geothermal power. I don't think I want to sell trees. I think, as much as it hurts, I think technology demonstration is what I should sell. It doesn't feel good, man. But the reason geothermal power, I think it's still correct to keep this in the early game. You never know, maybe someone could have removed my energy production and I really rely on this combo. But now I picked up another Jovian energy card, so, you know, it makes sense to sell this. But it really hurts to sell the card that gives me 2 cards. That's So it's only because I'm all in terraforming I would do this. Otherwise, yeah. It is what it is. We go to a new generation. And right here, because I slow played and made the green pass the generation before me, now there's 1 step to the oxygen, so maybe red is gonna take it, but if he's not, then it's definitely me who's gonna get this bonus. So at the very least, I made sure that green did not spend his plans, so now green is actually very vulnerable to a meteor. Look at this, he got 14 plans right now. So a big asteroid could also be something I might consider, just to actually burn some plants from green and also close the game a bit sooner. If I recall, I'm not actually going for Big Asteroid, but I think that's a mistake. I think Big Asteroid is kind of in line with what I want to do. But the thing is, I already like planned out the generation, and I took into account this time that I need 3 gold. So, do I want to play Beam from a Thorium Asteroid, or do I want to play this asteroid? And once again, I felt like I was a little bit too greedy. And also, there's another thing. The thing is, I don't have any titanium production, so the 27 cost to actually play Big Asteroid, that's like my entire generation. So it's also a tough choice, this one, but looking back, knowing that it's hard for me to actually close the game, maybe the asteroid would have been better. But the funny thing is, I think I end up doing none of this, because okay, first of all, I'm definitely taking this bonus, right? Red didn't take it, so I'm taking it. So all of this slow playing and this awkward turn in the last generation, it actually ends up being okay for me. But now there's another issue in this generation. And that is, do I play this card or do I actually go for the milestones? Because as you can see, Maya has already been taken. So I want to take these as late as possible. Basically, I just want to take the Terraformer milestone. That I've already fulfilled this one. But I don't want people to actually take the other 2 milestones before I can get the Terraformer. But at the same time, I want to like start it as late as possible. So, and also what's gonna end up happening in this generation is a lot of people is actually spending like a lot on terraforming the oxygen. So when you put all of this together, I'm now starting to realize that there is another play here I might be considering. So kind of what my plan was to yeah, see, this guy already has Gardener if he wants it. So I'm gonna start the next generation. So this is why there's a lot of options here. So one play could be to just wait until the next generation, just play my Thorm from a Beam Asteroid, and then pass, and then in the start of the next generation, I'm actually gonna, then I can actually start the Terraformer and maybe also the Thermalist Award. So that's what I'm thinking about. This play looks good to me, but what I'm realizing is that the oxygen is almost closed now. So even though I start the next generation, there's actually even a deeper layer here. I also want to get the last few available TR from the oxygen. So yeah, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I'm starting the terraforming and I'm starting the thermalist, because now I don't have to do this at the start of the next generation. So by doing it this way, now I can start the next generation, get like 2 oxygen on the oxygen scale. And that's obviously a lot better for me. Because when you do the math, like what this kind of cost me 3 heat and 3 energy. But what I'm getting in return is 2 terraform rating. So when you look at it this way, this is definitely the correct way to do it. So I think right now, my plan is, because I'm gonna start the next generation having 7 plants, so my plan is to just get some greenery somewhere, somehow. And by building a greenery, so maybe I have to build a standard greenery, but then if I remember, yeah, now I'm getting Protected Valley. So this is like, alright, hello. It's like the perfect card right now. So Protected Valley, I can place it in a way so I get 1 greenery, and then I can spend my 8 plants in this case. So this is, now I'm closing the oxygen all by myself. And I don't even have to use my Steelworks, so I'm also saving like 4 energy, which can be used for heat. So this is perfect. Protected Valley is like a very good card to pick up right now. So there's actually a lot of stuff going on here. So I think what I did is correct, but it feels a little bit bad that I planned it in a way to just play Beam from a Thorium Asteroid, and then I end up not playing in that generation because I'm going for Milestone and Thermalist instead. But it is definitely the correct play, because it's really huge. Right now I can get 2 greeneries, and it's not only that, also I'm immune to like meteors because I'm gonna spend all my plants as well, so it's, yeah, it's perfect. And then when it comes to the milestone and the awards, you know, I'm set. All I want with this strategy is pretty much the terraformer. All of the rest, I'm not comfortable I can win any of it. Because normally, if I have so much plant production like this, oh yeah, and I also have 9 steel, this is perfect, man. Perfect card to pick up, for sure. But normally, when you have so much plant production, you can maybe also consider what was it called, landlord. But in this case, I'm also against like both Tharsis and Ecoline. So, and already these guys have a lot of stuff on the map as well. So with this in mind, landlord is probably out of the question. I think all of the awards are like not for me, except for maybe the thermalist, because I'm the only one going for heat. So it's a little bit hard to say. And also worth noting, I'm not sure I'm gonna win the thermalist actually, but I'm thinking that I'm probably gonna win it, but I'm definitely gonna get a second place at the very least. And it's pretty late and nobody started the first award, so I think it's correct to start it, but it's you have to be a little bit careful when you start an award and you are not sure if you're gonna win it. But so now there's a pretty good place for a city, but I think I didn't play this last generation, so I kind of want to play it now. And it also comes back to the fact that I really want to close that at 8 generations. So I definitely need some heat production at this point. Delaying it for 1 generation kind of felt bad, but I think it's what I had to do. So somebody got Soletta, okay. And it's kind of what happens when you start the thermalists. Then people are more inclined to get heat production, so this can both be good and bad for you. It can be good because then people are gonna help you close the game maybe, but it can also be bad for you if people are only getting heat production to win the thermalist and then they're not actually closing the game. So, but yeah, as predicted, the heat is definitely gonna be the last parameter to close. And that's pretty bad for me. So right now I'm actually regretting not getting this card in my opening hand. Black Solar Dust, I think it's called. That gives me like 3 hit production, but cost me 2 mega credit production. So right here, definitely I didn't think this through. I'm like, alright, I started Thermalist. Maybe I should pick up Lunar Beam just to protect this award that I started, but this is I'm not seeing the writing on the wall. Yeah, right here, a little cute trick you can do is you can just look at the scientists to see how many science tags people have, and I already did that. So nobody's gonna get mass converter, nobody's gonna get anti-gravity technology. But this Lunar Beam, I think I take it and I think I regret it. Yeah, it's not good. Because when you think about it, yes, I want to close the game, I want to protect my thermalist, but it's protecting my thermalist is not really my main problem right now. My main problem is it's really hard for me to actually close this 8 generations. So picking up Lunar Beam, it makes no sense. It's too late, right? Because this is like basically playing this card or just paying for 1 heat, like as a standard project. That's pretty much the same. So it's very stupid of me to pick up this card right now. That's the one issue I have in this game. I pick up too many cards. So we are really back to the fact that tempo is really important when you're going for these terraforming strategies. So picking up cards and sending them again it ruins my tempo. So it's not good. And now this is a little bit greedy, right? I think there are 2 plays I can do here. First of all, I could think about the physics complex. It kinda, now that I picked it up, I have it for now and I have it for next generation. So it can give me 4 points. Even if it goes to 9, it could give me like 2 extra points. But picking up this city here is really tempting, because there's a very good spot for a city right here. Already 2 greeneries and there's room for 4 more greeneries around it. So I'm really thinking here, because this play looks really good, especially considering that I only have 1 city on the map on the north. And there's no really room for more greeneries around the city. I mean, there are room for 3 greeneries around the city, but then I'm also helping my opponent a lot. So it makes sense to get just 1 more city this game. But on the other hand, the other available play I had was to, as bad as it sounds, just keep spamming standard projects asteroid, because I think it's important for me this game that it closes at 8. And not 9. I think if it closes at 9 generation, I would be in trouble. But having it close at 8, this is how I win, I think. So it's a little bit questionable, the city, but it makes a lot of sense. And there's also this aspect of, well, even if I can close the game, if I if I don't have any points, is still not enough to win. So I'm just getting a little bit of points here. So you could argue we are kind of like slowly progressing into the mid-game strategy with me actually building this city and with me actually using this physics complex. So I'm a little bit hesitant by using my heat, and mainly that's because I just want to slow play a little bit, but it's not really that. It's more like the Thermalist has been started, but you know, I think if I get the first place or the second place on Thermalist, that's probably not gonna be the biggest deal here. I think the more important thing I should think about is to definitely close this as 8. So this Lunar Beam here, it's a bad decision. And I think it's gonna hurt me a lot. I think in the last generation, I'm gonna be like really pressed for. I'm gonna need like 1 more gold to do something cool. So here once again, if we're thinking about going for a little more VP, thinking about going for the Terraform strategy or for the mid-game strategy, if you want, then it definitely makes a lot of sense to pick up these immigration shuttles, because look at how many cities there are. I'm actually looking at the Mayor milestone sooner or later to just get a feel. I think my idea is that this is going to give me 4 points, but I don't think I'm keeping it. I think it's a little bit greedy. It's like a Jovian amplifier at this point, so it's going to give me 4 points, but it's going to cost me the entire generation. And then we're back to this problem that then maybe the game is not going to be closed at 8. So I think I'm hoping that my opponents is gonna terraform maybe 1 or 2 steps, and if they do that, then I can definitely just close the game all by myself. So I think that's the only thing I'm thinking about this generation, or at least the only thing I should be thinking about this generation, is to actually maybe resort to buying a bunch of these terrible asteroid standard projects. I think that's something I have to do here. So yeah, I don't think I pick up, yeah, maybe I pick up 1 plant card or something. I'm not even sure now, but. So right here, there's another tasty spot for a city, but I think I'm gonna wait, because if I can place this city, it's kinda good, but I really want to close it in this generation. So I think it all depends if my opponents are willing to terraform some heat a little bit. That's really what it all comes down to right now. Yeah. Oh, and there we go. Red terraformed heat twice. So I think, generally speaking, this is a mistake. I think he's not. He doesn't have enough points. He doesn't have enough cities on the map. But you know, maybe I think Red maybe just gave up at this point. But it's definitely not correct for him, because he's forfeiting the Thermalist to me, and also he's helping me to close the game. So it's in my interest to close the game. Red kind of want to let the game drag out so he can get more cities on the map, so he can get some more points. But yeah, he's having a bad game with Tharsis, which is unbelievable, right? Because look at all these cities. But I think the other 2 are very good players. They play fine. They contest me in milestones. They think about the awards and milestones, and contest the bonuses especially. And so they're doing fine. But I don't think Red is. Yeah, he could have played better with Tharsis, but that being said, you know, it's just yes, and all right. So now here we go. So here's a lot of math here. So I'm definitely thinking about using my last heat, but now that I'm getting this city, right? Because it makes sense to me to get this 1 plant. And also it makes sense to me that I can get a few more points with this city, because the city is going to be worth 3 points. So I think it's a good play, but this is a play that's only available to me because Red helped me to close the game, and also the others. Someone like threw down a giant asteroid or something. So right now we get to the point where there's like a bunch of math, and it's actually unbelievable. I have only 4 cards here. But there's so much math here, because one play is to just spend my 8 heat and then use 1 of my cards. Another play is to use 2 cards, but then I don't have enough mega credit to actually use my United Nations Mars Initiative hero power. So, you know, there's actually a lot going on here. So basically what I'm realizing is that it might be worth it for me to forfeit my first place on the Thermalist, because what I can do in return is I can make a better play to actually get me the second place in the Landlord. So all of this stuff, man, this is why it's so important to just slow play in the last generation. There's so much stuff going on in this game particularly. And I think I'm also a bit salty at this point, because look at this. My 2 cards cost 25 and I only have 24 mega credits. And I really want to play both of them, but I just can't, because I messed up a few too many times this game. I kept so many cards that I end up not using. So I'm kicking myself over keeping this Earth Heat Energy production card that I picked up, because now I'm selling it for 1 mega credit, and I really need, once again, I'm really stressed. I really needed 1 more mega credit. So I'm beginning to realize, alright, I fucked up a little bit, so I can probably only play 1 of these cards, so which ones should I play? And the funny thing is, these cards are very similar at this point. Because I think I have the mangrove and I have the trees, right? Yeah. So the only difference, both of them gives 1 greenery, both of them gives 1 victory point, both of them will allow me to play another greenery, right? Because trees will give me enough greeneries to actually place 1 more tree in the extra round. So the only difference between these 2 cards right now is that the trees, the greenery I get from the plant from playing trees, I can actually use this next to my city. So this is why I think I'm gonna favor trees here. But then it also really depends on the fact that people are not gonna play birds to actually mess up my plants, right? So this is why I'm continuing to slow play, because people could mess up this plant by playing birds and removing my plant production or something. So I'm keeping close track to how much mega credits do the other players have left, and yeah, and stuff like this. But I think it's the correct play to play trees here, just because then I can play this greenery next to my city. But it really hurts. It hurts me that I cannot play both of these. But it is what it is. I made a few bad calls. Actually, I think the way I played this game was actually kind of good. The only mistake was keeping a little bit too many cards in my hand. And then you could also argue, was it questionable to not keep the prelude with 2 titanium production? Was it questionable to play physics complex just to get a little bit of VP to go with it? You know, there's a lot of things, but it's a very interesting game at least, so this is why I chose this one, because there's so much to think about. There's actually a lot of cool decisions in this game. So I think it's definitely a good game to cover. Yeah, I think we're finally to the point. I'm doing this as late as possible. I don't want to show my hand that I have trees, because once again, then I'm vulnerable to a card like birds or something. I think birds has already been here, but another card like this that can remove my plants and my plant production. So if I play trees too early, people are gonna realize, alright, he's gonna have exactly enough to place 2 greeneries, so yeah. So this is why I want to play this as late as possible. And this is why generally it's good to slow play in the last generation, right? So at this point, I already made the decision to... I'm actually hoping that someone will close the game instead of me, but nobody did that. So yeah, here we go. So I'm looking at Landlord. I can get a second place on Landlord if I place that +1 greenery, right? So that's a big consideration. And then I'm gonna forfeit Thermalist to the red player. But first of all, red is not gonna be beating me, I don't think. So it feels a little bit bad to forfeit 3 points, but then I'm getting 2 points back from the Landlord, right? And then I can make a better play. So one option is to spend 14 mega credits and win the Thermalist, or I can do what I do here and just spend 8 heat to actually get a second place on Thermalist, but then I have enough mega credits to actually play my card. So I think I made the correct call here. I think this is what I should do. So yeah, but a very interesting game, at least I think. It's not the best game in terms of score or anything, but it's you know, these terraforming games, they are mostly like all over the place. But it's as you'll see, the scores is not gonna be great for any of us, but it's enough for me to win. And it's only 8 generations, so the score is not gonna be bad either by any means. But I think I could have maybe milked this game for a few more TR if I had been a little bit better, a little bit more precise in terms of what cards are kept. And also, if we go all the way back to the beginning, and now knowing how the game is going to shape out, there's also an alternative route where I could just go for Jovians, pick up 2 Jovian amplifiers and maybe 5 Jovians, I think. But it's very hard to say, right? I can't know that I was going to get these cards. But a very interesting last generation, and I think an interesting game overall. It's a little bit hurtful. This is what happens when you play Terraforming Mars on your laptop in your bed. You have only one hand to write with, and you're terrible. But it works out, right? Now I have exactly 2 greeneries to place next to my city, so I'm definitely getting one here, and then I'm getting one to the south, yeah, because this way I'm not helping my opponent. So it's alright. I think it's overall a pretty good game. I could have definitely played it better. It's not a... I didn't play well, to be honest, but it's good enough. I'm getting carried by my aggressive terraform style, and also my cooperation help with this aspect, of course. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you so much for watching, and see you for the next one. Bye bye.